dear little champions, I welcome you all to PU2 Brahmastra series, and I hope that you are happy, you are healthy and everything is sorted. And if it's not, everything is going to be alright, please not worry. And today we are going to talk about biology, where the chapter is Human Reproduction. So I hope everyone who is into biology would be really eager to study this chapter as well. So let's get started, let's see the blueprint and let's see how many marks does this particular chapter contain. So according to one blueprint among three, the chapter weighs around 10 marks, and rest of the blueprint says that it is of 11 marks. So if it is of 10 marks, then the question distribution will be like this, where 2 questions would be coming from 1 marker session, and 1 question will be coming from 3 marker session, and 1 question would be coming from 5 marker session. Now if it is of 11 marks, 3 questions would be coming from the MCQ session, 1 question will be coming from the 3 marker, 1 question will be coming from the 5 marker. There is no 2 marker question coming from this particular chapter, so let's prepare for 3 and 5 and basically MCQs. So either big or very small, that's what we have to prepare. Okay, so what I have did is I have merged certain 2 marker questions into form certain 3 marker or 5 marker questions, so that you have a practice of it. Okay, and this question paper, whole thing, contains of the model questions, question paper questions. Okay, I have included all the questions which belongs to this particular chapter. So I have taken 3 model papers which is given by the government. I took the questions and I put it over here. Apart from that, there will be previous year questions, there will be other questions coming off. So you would be seeing and you would be enjoying it as well. So let's get started. Let's see how many questions have I included. So there will be 15 MCQ questions, because as you saw, there are chances for 2 MCQ or 3 MCQ to come from this chapter, so we have to practice on MCQs. And apart from that, there will be 6 3 marker questions, there will be 4 5 marker questions, and in 4 5 marker questions there are lots of diagrams. I hope you understand the importance of diagram, and in this chapter it is very important. In this and sexual reproduction in flowering plants, the diagrams are really important, so please do not miss them. And one more thing, if you are someone who is listening to my class, I want just one thing from you, one promise from you, that is you are going to attempt the questions even before I do. Okay, so while I am explaining, you can try to find out the answer and tell me in the comment section if you got to understand it before. Okay, it's not like you are searching somewhere else and telling no, don't do cheating. If you understand by seeing the question, please answer it. If you're not understanding, don't say, it's fine. But you have to engage with me throughout the session, because I am teaching you. I need some reciprocation from your end as well, or else this class would be really boring. Okay, so when I see the live chat, I also try to reply. I also try to give you the tips and tricks. So if you want me to be motivated and text you in the live session, I want you to participate very well as well. Cool? So let's get started without much talking over here. The first question, choose the correct option from the table given below for the formation and dissolution of the labeled part in the given diagram. So you have to talk about the formation and dissolution of the labeled part. What is the labeled part? It is zona pellucida. Here they have mentioned as something else. It is a model question paper question. So it is zona pellucida. Oh, who is responsible for the formation of zona pellucida, my dear children? So we have primary oocyte. The primary oocyte basically will be forming or giving rise to secondary oocyte. So secondary oocyte, no, at this particular stage, the cell division halts. Okay, we say it's not going to go ahead, it just stops there. And in which stage of cell division it is in? It is in meiosis 2 stage. Okay, in meiosis 2 stage, and in meiosis 2 stage also you have metaphase. You have metaphase 2, where this poor secondary oocyte is arrested, as in it is not going beyond it, it's not completing its division. It is arrested at this particular stage. So the secondary oocyte is the one that will be responsible for a formation of a layer which you call as zona pellucida. What do you call it? Zona pellucida. Now zona pellucida is one thing that will be having certain receptors at the top of it. Okay, and these receptors are really helpful for the sperms to come and attach. So sperms, no, they basically come and attach over here. They will also have their own proteins. If the proteins matches with the receptor, that's when this particular sperm can enter into the ovum. So basically it is formed by basically your secondary oocyte only. Second thing, it will be dissolved when? Before fertilization? No. After fertilization, right? So when they come and fuse, that's when this particular layer get dissolved. Okay, it gets dissolved. So basically this thing gets inside, and later there will be certain changes in the zona pellucida, so we call it dissolution of it. So basically zona pellucida is formed by secondary oocyte and its dissolution occurs after fertilization. Okay, the primary oocyte does not have it. Now if you are confused what is primary oocyte and things like that, we will be going through it, but I can tell you. So basically what happens, if you have a cell which is known as primary oocyte, suppose, okay, you know the gametes, basically to form gametes, you have to undergo a division which is known as meiosis, which is reductional division. So if a cell has 46 number of chromosome, in meiosis the cell will divide into 2, and in the first division itself the number of chromosome will become half in both. So it will become 23 each. You call this as meiosis 1. What do you call it? You call this as meiosis 1. Now again the cell will divide, and again will it get halved? No. Now it will be having 23 only. This will be known as, this is meiosis 2. So you have meiosis 1 and you have meiosis 2. Now meiosis also have multiple stages. One is prophase, then it is metaphase, then is anaphase, then it is telophase. So in meiosis 1 it is prophase 1, metaphase 1, anaphase 1, telophase 1. Cool. Then in meiosis 2 it will be prophase 2, metaphase 2, anaphase 2 and telophase 2. So I am saying it underwent this whole division and it came up over here, and what do you call this? This is the primary oocyte. This is the primary oocyte which underwent whole meiosis 1, and now it has reached meiosis 2 with stage metaphase 2 of meiosis 2, and it got stuck over here. It will get stuck over here at this particular stage. Okay, if you still didn't understand, I can explain. So primary oocyte divided itself, gave what? Secondary oocyte. Okay, and one more cell should be there. So there is one more cell, but I will tell you a twist in the story. So this was having 46 number of chromosome, here it has 23, here also it has 23, but this cell, no, it is known as polar body. What do you call it? Polar body. So it's the first polar body, and this get disintegrated. It is not of use. So this cell would not be undergoing this division as you see over here. Instead there will be only one cell, that is secondary oocyte. This secondary oocyte will again divide itself into 2. One will be this, one will be this, having 23. So this thing that is formed is the second, this is the second polar body. It will also disintegrate. What are you left with? You are left with ovum, my dear children. So as of now we are stuck at this particular stage where it has not completed its division. It is in what stage? Metaphase 2 of meiosis 2. Okay, when fertilization happens, that's when secondary oocyte will complete its division to form the ovum. Okay, when the fertilization will happen, that time. Okay, so it is secondary oocyte and after fertilization where the zona pellucida goes off. I hope it's clear. With this I try to explain you oogenesis as well. Now going ahead, statement, the process of release of sperms from the seminiferous tubules is called spermatogenesis. According to me, spermatogenesis means formation of sperm. It is the formation of sperm. It is not the process of release of sperms from the seminiferous tubules. The release of sperms from the seminiferous tubules, what do you call it, children? You call this as spermiation, where this particular to sperm is saying bye bye. This is known as spermiation. And now from here, from living in the seminiferous tubules, it will go to tubuli recti, or basically rated testis, and then what's a vasa efferentia, and then epididymis, then vas deferens. All this accessory ducts it will pass through, and it will directly go to the penis at the end. So that's how it works. Now the spermatids are transformed into spermatozoa by the process called spermatogenesis. What is this? So basically, similarly how cells were forming. So initially you have primary spermatocyte. Okay, initially you have primary spermatocyte. This will undergo division. Here if it is 46, what will be the number over here, children? It is meiosis. It has to be 23. What do you call both of them? You call both of them as secondary spermatocyte. So there was one polar body being made, but here both of them are secondary spermatocyte. Again you will divide into 2. Here also you get divided into 2. You get 23, 23, 23, 23. All of them, what do you call this? All of them, what do you call them? You call them as spermatids. They are known as spermatids. Remember, kids, they are not mature now. So you have to make them mature. They are round, but actually if you have seen the shape of sperm is not round, like they have tail shaped thingy. So these spermatids have to transform into sperms which looks almost like this, not exactly like this. What do you call them? You call them spermatozoa. So kids are getting transformed into spermatozoa, and you call this process as spermiogenesis. What do you call this? You call this process as spermiogenesis, which is exactly correct. So I'll say statement 2 is correct. Statement 2 is actually correct. And I'll also tell one more thing. If you see, how many sperms do you get at the end of one meiosis? If one primary spermatocyte divides, how many sperms do you get? You get 4 sperms. But over here, when one primary oocyte is dividing, how many ovum do you get, children? Only 1 ovum, because there is no division happening up over here. Okay, so here you get 4, there you get 1. Please remember that as well. So statement 1 is false, okay, and statement 2 is correct. So statement 1 is correct, statement 1 is incorrect, but statement 2 is correct. This becomes the correct answer as well. Works? Chalo, next. The function of myometrium layer present in the uterine wall is 2. What is the function of myometrium layer? So uterus has 3 layers. Okay, I'm so sorry. It has 3 layers. Can you tell me? Can you tell me the name of the layers? The outermost layer, it is known as perimetrium. Okay. After that, you have a layer which is the muscular layer. You call it as myometrium, and then you have another thickened layer which is known as endometrium. Cool. So the function of myometrium layer present in the uterine wall is to do what? The function of this particular layer which is there, myometrium which is there, it is the muscular layer. It is the muscular layer. And muscles are for contraction and relaxation. Why do you think contraction and relaxation is needed? Basically during parturition, when the baby has to move out. Suppose there is fertilization happening, there is baby forming over here. This baby has to move out at this particular layer, at this particular time. Obviously something has to contract and relax, and that something is known as myometrium, my dear children. It is a muscular layer. So basically, can I say undergo cyclic changes during menstrual cycle? No. Exhibit strong uterine contraction during parturition? Yes. Give protection to the uterus? No. Help in the implantation process? No. So this becomes the answer. Cool? Works? Chalo, next. The hormone is secreted by ovary in the later phase of pregnancy. This is a direct question, so I don't have to explain much. There is one hormone being released by the ovary during the later phase of pregnancy, and that is known as relaxin. Okay, it helps in the relaxation of the cervical muscles and stuff like that, so the baby can easily move out. Okay, relaxation acid, they are usually contracted like this. If it is relaxing, it will be having more space. So this is relaxin which is released by the ovary. So just imagine that ovary is relaxing at the end of pregnancy. You can imagine like that, because obviously the pregnancy is over. Okay. Now, during pregnancy, the fetus develops limbs and digits. Do you know when do they develop limbs and digits? It's after the 2nd month. It's after the, so in the first month there is heart. In the 2nd month, there is limbs and digits being formed. Limbs and digits means limb, forelimb, hind limb, and digits means fingers. Not entirely formed, but yeah. Okay, then I'll directly skip to 5th month. 5th month, the baby says that I want to show my swag. I want some hair on my head. So they will be having hair on the head. And also, please remember, it's the time, the 5th month is very important. Is the time when the baby shows movement, the first movement. Cool. Now in the 6th month, what happens? In the 6th month, there will be body hair, the eyelids will be separated and stuff like that happens. Okay, there will be body hair and everything. So after that, they have not mentioned anything in the book, so we don't have to learn it. So there will be body hair, eyelids are separated, etc., etc. Okay, so During pregnancy, the fetus develops limbs and digits after 2 months. Okay, after 2 months. So 2 months, 1 month has 4 weeks. 2 months has 2 into 4, that means 8 weeks. So can I write after 8 weeks? So do not do a mistake over here in calculation. I know biology people might hate mathematics, or there are certain people who love mathematics equally. So I'm not offending anyone. So please don't think like that. Okay. But in my case, I didn't like mathematics very much, which is why I said so. So, but now I'm trying to like it, because you should be knowing a lot of things. So yeah. After 8 weeks, what you should be having, children? You should be, no, not you should be having. Basically, after 8 weeks of pregnancy, there will be development of limbs and digits. So please remember month wise. Always, also one more thing. So the first 3 months, what do you call it? The first trimester. Okay, the first trimester is the first 3 months. Second trimester will be the second 3 months, that is until 6th month. So please remember, sometimes question comes like that also. The body hair and eyelids appear after first trimester, second trimester, third trimester. So it will be second trimester, because after 6th month you will be finding body hair. Okay. Now in spermatogenesis, if FSH hormone is not secreted from the anterior pituitary gland, which stage is affected? So basically FSH, what do you mean by FSH? It is follicle stimulating hormone, my dear children. So always remember, there is something like that is known as hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is the pardada. Okay, who is he? He is the pardada. He releases something which is known as GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone. Okay, gonadotropin releasing hormone, and these have to go and work on anterior pituitary, which is the pardadi. So pardadi says only if GnRH comes and tell me that this has to be done, then only I will be doing it, and I will be doing it according to my wish. Okay, whatever you do, I will be doing it according to my wish. So basically, anterior pituitary now releases 2 things. One is FSH and the other one is LH, luteinizing hormone, and this one is FSH. Okay, listen to me carefully. LH goes and works for the production of something that is known as testosterone. So pardadi is really important, otherwise testosterone would not have been produced. Over here also, FSH is responsible for basically taking care of the Sertoli cells, and it plays a major role in the process of spermatogenesis. That means you have to basically form spermatids to spermatozoa. Okay, just give me a second. This process has to be done. I told you kid has to mature, right? For this you need the presence of FSH also. Okay, please remember that. So in spermatogenesis, FSH hormone is not secreted by anterior pituitary gland. Which stage is affected? So basically, which stage do you think will be affected? So it will be this particular stage, that is known as spermatogenesis, where the spermatids basically will be forming spermatozoa, the formation of spermatozoa. So this will be affected. Okay, now over here it is also needing testosterone as well. It also needs testosterone as well. Please remember that. Okay, so if this is also not happening, then also this particular stage would not be taking place. Cool? Chalo. Next, to produce 2000 sperm and 400 ova, how many spermatogonia and oogonia are required? So you know, one spermatogonia will give rise to 4 sperms. Similarly, one oogonia will be giving rise to, at the end, basically one primary oocyte will be giving rise to how many? 1 ova. Okay, we learned 4 sperms and 1 ova. So basically we have to make 2000 of them. So I need at least 500 spermatogonia. So 500 into 4 will be giving me 2000. Over here, how many ova should I need for 400? So basically, I would be needing 400 oogonia, because each single oogonia will be given rise to each ovum at the end. So that's why 400. So basically it's not oogonia, I will actually have to say primary oocyte, but they have mentioned it like that, so let's mention it like that. So 400 into 1, basically it's 400. So how many do you need? You need 500 and 400. So 500 spermatogonia you need, and you need 400 oogonia. This becomes the answer. Okay, this is question number 7. Cool? Chalo. Next, the first movements of the fetus are observed during which month of pregnancy? Which month of pregnancy do you see the first movement? I already told you, in the 5th month here, and this is observed. So 5th month will be the direct answer to this particular question. The first movement and this. Cool? Next, in female, oogenesis is initiated during oogenesis, as in the formation of basically the process of starting of formation of the primary oocyte and things like that. So oogenesis, or process of formation of gamete, starts when? In the case of females. So it is initiated during the embryonic development stage only. Okay, it starts during embryonic development stage itself. It does not wait for too long. So basically in the case of male, it happens when you hit puberty and stuff like that. In the case of females, they have already started off. Okay, and as I said, you remember primary oocyte? So primary oocytes are being formed already during the embryonic stage itself, and they remain stuck in this particular stage. I told you primary oocyte undergoes division to form 2 cells. One cell is the secondary oocyte. And I also told you that basically this has having 46 and this is having 23 number of chromosomes, right? So this becomes disintegrated, this stays there. Okay, so over here meiosis 1 happens where there is prophase, there is metaphase, there is anaphase, there is telophase. Prophase 1, metaphase 1, anaphase 1, telophase 1. So it will actually get stuck in prophase 1 of meiosis 1. It won't go ahead and form the secondary oocyte. It will form secondary oocyte later on when we hit puberty. So until puberty, this particular stage is being maintained. Okay, but the formation of primary oocyte is being done already in the embryonic stage itself. Next, secondary oocyte released during ovulation can't be fertilized by the sperm, because why can't it be fertilized by the sperm? Because the sperm should be containing 23 chromosome. The egg, the primary oocyte should be also having, the ovum that is being formed, it should be also having 23 chromosome, but it will be having 23 chromosome and a proper cell when the secondary oocyte can finally complete the division, right? The secondary oocyte will now have to complete the division of meiosis 2 to form the ovum, and here it will be the second polar body. So it is stuck in what stage, children? Metaphase. So here we have prophase 1, prophase 2, metaphase 2, anaphase 2 and telophase 2. So it will be stuck in this particular stage, which is why fertilization would not be happening. So secondary oocyte released during ovulation can't be fertilized by the sperm. Why? Can't be fertilized by the sperm because it has not completed meiosis 1, it has not completed meiosis 2, it has not completed mitosis, it has not completed meiosis 2. Once it gets completed, that's when we say that it has finally fertilized the ovum. Cool? Next, acrosome helps in penetrating egg. The reason is, why do you think acrosome? What do you think is acrosome? So basically in the sperm, if this is a sperm head, it has a haploid nucleus over here with 23 chromosome. At the top of it, it has a structure which is known as acrosome, which is filled with enzymes, my dear children. This acrosome is actually filled with enzymes which you call as sperm lysins, and they help in getting into the ovum. So it has strong hydrolytic enzymes to dissolve the egg envelope. It serves as secondary structure. No. It has painted structure. No. A pointed structure. It is actually pointed. Pointed structure for piercing. No. It serves no particular function. No. But basically it has hydrolytic enzymes to dissolve the egg envelope such that it can fertilize the egg. That is the actual reason. Works? Chalo, next question. X is a structure which gets embedded in the endometrium lining. Okay, endometrial lining, I already told you, you have your uterus. In the uterus, you have 3 layers. Outermost one is perimetrium. Then you have myometrium, the muscular layer. Then you have the endometrium, which is the glandular layer. So in this endometrium, what happens? Whenever the egg and the sperm, they fuse together, they will be forming the zygote. The zygote will be later forming the embryo. Now the embryo has different stages. There is one stage of the embryo which you call as blastula stage. Okay, and there is a different form which is known as blastocyst stage. Okay, actually we say blastocyst stage is the one where this particular embryo will slowly come and embed inside the endometrium. So blastula or basically blastocyst comes out to be not the same thing, but even either of this, if it comes, just understand it is going to now embed inside the endometrium layer. And what do you call this? When this guy comes inside and gets embedded for nourishment and stuff, what do you call this process as? You call this process as implantation. What do you call it? You call this as implantation. So something is getting implanted. Okay, so your answer becomes blastula and implantation. Axis structure which gets embedded in the endometrial lining, the phenomena is called Y. So phenomena is implantation. Works? This is model question paper question. Going ahead, number of autosomes in secondary, this is not model question paper question, I don't know why they have mentioned like that. Anyways, number of autosomes in the secondary spermatocyte is, what do you mean by secondary, sorry, what do you mean by autosomes? So children, we have 46 number of chromosomes. Okay, out of that, 44 of them, they are known as autosomes. As in, they are not responsible for determining the sex of an organism. But you have two other chromosomes, that is 45th and 46th of them, which can be the XX or it can be XY. These two chromosomes that you see, they are known as allosomes or basically the sex chromosomes. Now, the first thing that you need to understand, this is the case of a normal cell. This is the case of a normal cell. But if you're talking about a gamete does not have 46 number of chromosome. Instead, they will be having 23. You have to halve the number. You have to halve the number in the case of a gamete, because half the number of chromosomes will be coming from father, half 23 will be coming from mother. Okay, 23 plus 23 becomes 46 again. So basically, you have to halve when you are sending in the form of gamete. So it is now in the form of half. Okay, understood? Now over here, 22 of them will be autosomes. 23rd will be a sex chromosome. Now you might be asking, ma'am, where is the other pair? Other pair comes from the mother. So other pair, so over here 23 again, 22 from the mother will be autosomes. So these guys and these guys pair up. Okay, now 44, that makes 44. Now 23rd chromosome of the mother will be pairing up with the 23rd chromosome of the father, making up the pair of sex chromosome as well. In total, you get 46. So number of autosomes in secondary spermatocyte is, secondary spermatocyte as in you have completed division. So over here you have primary spermatocyte which is having 46 number of chromosome. It has underwent division to make secondary spermatocyte. Secondary spermatocyte. Right. So over here, the number of autosomes in the secondary spermatocyte will be 23. 23. Is it 23? Tell me, is it 23? I told you autosomes will be 22. One chromosome will be sex chromosome. So it will be 22. Please understand that. So don't do this thing and come. Okay, 22 of them will be autosome, one will be what? Sex chromosome. In the normal case, 44 of them are autosomes, 2 of them will be sex chromosome. Cool. Chalo. Next. The ratio of spermatozoa and ova formed during spermatogenesis and oogenesis is respectively, I told you the spermatozoa will be 4 in number, the ovum that is formed is 1 in number. So 4:1 will be the ratio. So I'll write 4:2. Cool, easy. So 4 is for, you asked about spermatogenesis first, no? Or spermatozoa first, yeah. So this will be the spermatozoa and this will be the ova. Cool. Next, identify A and B in the schematic representation of hormonal control of spermatogenesis in humans. So I remember telling you pardada and pardadi and all. I hope you remember it. Basically, listen. So hypothalamus is responsible for a hormone which is known as gonadotropin releasing hormone. Okay. Gonadotropin releasing hormone. Now, GnRH runs and goes and says, Pardadi, that you have to release two hormones, that is LH and FSH. LH and FSH. Okay, so this is the pituitary gland, which is, pituitary gland has two sides, one is anterior, one is posterior. So anterior ones is responsible for receiving the signal and releasing two more hormones, which is LH, luteinizing hormone, and FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. LH goes and acts on the Leydig cells. Okay, what do you mean by Leydig cells? So suppose this is the testis. In the testis there is testicular lobules. In the testicular lobules you have seminiferous tubules. So if I zoom this in, it looks like this. These are the seminiferous tubules. I am writing ST. And this is our testicular lobule. Okay. Inside the seminiferous tubule you have a certain type of cell which you call as Sertoli cell, and also you have the gamete mother cell. Okay, that will be forming gametes later on. So you have two cells inside the ST, that is Sertoli cells and gamete mother cell. Outside the ST, that means in between the space, you call the space as interstitial space, you have certain cells known as Leydig cells or interstitial cells. Cool. So basically what happens, I am telling this particular GnRH is going to act on anterior pituitary, which will give rise to LH and FSH. LH will be going and acting on the Leydig cells. L for Leydig, L for LH, you can remember like that. And it will make the Leydig cell release something that is known as testosterone, the male hormone, the male sex hormone. Whereas now FSH will be coming and acting on these Sertoli cells. So over here, the B thing that you see over here will be what? None other than Sertoli cells. Okay. Now over here, testosterone, Leydig cells basically will be helping in the production of testosterone and later that thing happens. Over here, Sertoli cells will be helping in spermatogenesis and stuff like that. Okay, it will help in the formation of these particular gametes. Okay, it will help the gamete mother cells to form the gametes later on. So this is the thing, which is why we say testis. This is the structure of testis. So testis is producing both the male hormone as well as the male germ cell. So your answers become this. Clear? Okay. Now next thing, parturition. Okay, now we have entered the 3-marker question. I hope you do not have any confusion regarding the 1-marker question. If you have any confusion, children, you can put it down in the live session. I will be there seeing your comments. Okay, I will be replying to it if I find a genuine doubt over there. Okay, now if you want to say something else also, you can put it down in the comment section. Anything, feedback is valuable to us. I'll take it. Cool. So parturition is induced by complex neuroendocrine mechanism. Comment. What do you mean by parturition? Parturition is basically the expelling of the baby, or basically fully grown fetus, from the womb of the mother, or basically uterus of the mother. When the baby moves out, this process is known as parturition. Now they are saying that it is induced by complex neuroendocrine mechanism. So do you know how the baby is being coming out? So basically in the uterus, no? Suppose this is the uterus. Over here, listen to me carefully. This is the myometrium layer that I am forming in white color. This is what? Myometrium layer. Now after it comes your endometrium and stuff like that. Okay. Basically, you have placenta, which is more prominent now. But anyways. And now you have the baby, the fully grown fetus. So what happens is that, even though it looks like teddy bear, but yeah. So what happens is that, whether it be a girl or a boy, this particular baby at the end, when it is formed, it will release something that is known as androgens. Okay, it will release something that is known as androgens. It's a hormone. Now androgen in the body will be converted to estrogen. Will be helping in the formation of estrogen. And what does this estrogen do? No, estrogen will help in forming so many receptors on the myometrium. It will help in the formation of so many receptors in the myometrium. Now what are these receptors, children? These receptors are known as oxytocin receptors. Now oxytocin is another hormone which is released by pituitary gland. Okay, it is actually made in the hypothalamus, but it is being released by pituitary gland. So basically what happens, usually oxytocin is being released in our body, but there is no one to receive it. But now the estrogen made so many oxytocin receptors over here such that whatever oxytocin is there, it will come and bind over here whenever it is being produced. And now when it binds, what does this oxytocin do? This combination will do? It will lead to contraction and relaxation of myometrium. Now the myometrium which is there, it will start contracting and relaxing in a way that the baby will be pushed down. So over here you see the endocrine mechanism and also the neural mechanism, because things have to, the signal have to be sent there, and that's how it comes back again for the baby to get what say expelled outside. So there is a mix of neuroendocrine mechanism that is being happening over here. The first thing, who gives the first signal for parturition? It is the fetus itself. So you say the first signal comes from the fully grown fetus and the placenta. It is the one that gives the first signal, after which the whole process it starts off. Now there will be, it's a positive feedback loop, okay. Contraction happens, there will be more oxytocin, more contraction, more oxytocin, more contraction, and things happens like that such that the baby moves out finally. And how you can write this answer? You can write it like this. Fetal signals. Parturition begins when the fully developed fetus and the placenta releases hormones signaling the mother's body to prepare for delivery. Role of hormones, oxytocin. The maternal pituitary gland secretes oxytocin which stimulates strong contraction such that the baby will be moving out. So over here you see there's a complex neuroendocrine mechanism being associated, which is why the baby is easily able to move out. So conclude your sentence, do not just randomly write anything and come, conclude your sentence, okay. I hope you got it. Now if you want to explain this, you can explain this as well, works, but in your NCERT it's not been given in this much explanation, so you can restrict yourself to this, that will be much better, okay, cool. Now in the figure given below, parts A and part B show the level of hormones which influence the menstrual cycle. Study the figure and answer the following that follows. Okay, name the organ or glands which secrete hormones represented in labeled part A and B. So who do you think, if, okay, here FSH is mentioned and LH is mentioned. Who do you think released this, children? It is released by pituitary gland. Okay, now you have estrogen and progesterone in B. So estrogen and progesterone is being released by whom, children? Do you know? It is being released by ovary. So before pregnancy it is released by ovary. During pregnancy, no, it is also released by placenta. It is also released by placenta. So as of now we do not have to study about placenta. Okay, so in A and B this is the menstrual cycle. Okay, this is the menstrual cycle. FSH and LH is mentioned. Both of them are released by pituitary gland. What pituitary gland, children? Anterior pituitary gland. Okay, under the influence of GnRH released by hypothalamus. Now over here estrogen and progesterone are being released by ovary itself. So they are asking you for the organs and the glands. You have mentioned both of them. Now state the role of hormones secreted from part B on the uterus of human female during the menstrual cycle. Okay, during this particular cycle, state the role of hormones secreted from part B. So how can you explain that? How can you explain that? So children, listen to me very carefully, okay? I'll try to explain it to you. So over here you see estrogen until day 7, the level of it is very less, estrogen and progesterone both. Okay, its level is really less. Slowly the estrogen level goes up, slowly the estrogen level is going up, and when the estrogen level goes up, please understand, that's when your endometrium, which is shredded down, okay, endometrium, no, it sheds down, that's when you get your periods. Now the endometrium slowly starts forming during this particular point of time under the influence of a hormone which is known as estrogen. Okay, under the influence of a hormone which is known as estrogen. So I'll divide it like this. So there are certain phases. Okay. This phase that you see is known as the menstrual phase, where the menstruation is actually happening, okay, when the blood is actually shedding down. This phase that you see, it is known as follicular phase. So how can I make it properly? Chalo, let's make it over here. That will be more easy for you to understand. Listen to me carefully. Okay. This phase that you see, it is known as menstrual phase, where what is happening? The endometrium is getting shed down. The endometrium layer, it will be getting shed down. Okay, so I am making the shedding over here until this particular thing. Okay, now what happens? Slowly, there will be follicles being made again. As in, what you're talking about? There will be follicles. You know, secondary oocyte has been covered by a follicle, which you call as Graafian follicle. Okay, which you call as Graafian follicle. So before that, there is another follicle which is known as primary follicle, secondary follicle, things like that. So each follicle, they mature, and inside that, the primary oocyte which was there, it is also undergoing division to form the secondary oocyte. So every time it happens, my dear children, so the follicles are getting matured under the influence of certain hormones which are being released by a pituitary gland, which is known as LH, follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. So this particular phase, that is next stage, which is also known as follicular phase, or you call it as proliferative phase. What happens? Why it is known as follicular phase? Because during this time, the follicles basically, they are maturing. Only one follicle will be going ahead and forming the Graafian follicle, which will be having the secondary oocyte. So the primary oocyte has started its division, and now it has formed secondary oocyte. So there will be one follicle which will be having that secondary oocyte within it. So that is known as Graafian follicle. So this follicular development happens over here, and while this is happening, one more thing happens, which is the endometrium. It will start reforming. Slowly, it will start regenerating. Okay, and this happens because of the hormone, that is estrogen. If you see, the hormone estrogen was less, it was nil over here. Progesterone also was not being produced very much over here, not nil, but it's not being produced very much over here. Now slowly, during the follicular phase, what happens, children? The estrogen, the level of it increases. It increases. Now when estrogen increases its level, okay, at one particular point of time, when the amount of estrogen is way too much, what happens? The hormone which is up, that is LH, luteinizing hormone. So you have two hormones, FSH and LH, right? So LH is there and FSH is there. When the amount of estrogen goes really high, the LH also shoots very much. The LH also, the amount of it shoots really much, such that one follicle which was getting matured, it will break open and release the secondary oocyte. It will release the secondary oocyte. So this phase, this particular phase that you see, where the LH, which is marked in blue color, it spikes up. This phase is known as ovulation. Ovulatory phase, where the ovulation will happen. That is ovulation. What do you mean by ovulation? The follicles, it will break open and release the ovum in there. Okay, at this point of time, you see the amount of estrogen is also way too high. It is also way too high. Now, suppose this is the secondary oocyte, and surrounding it, you have the follicle cells. What happens is that the secondary oocyte, it moves out, which is known as ovulation. The follicular cells, it remains back, and now this structure will be known as corpus luteum. Corpus luteum. So the secondary oocyte, it went out. Okay, what do you have left with? You're left with follicle cells, which is known as corpus luteum. Now what happens is that the corpus luteum, it releases two hormones. Okay, it releases two hormones, which is progesterone and the other one is estrogen. So you see, during this phase, estrogen got high, LH got high, ovulation happened, and then these guys are going down. Okay, but over here you see the amount of progesterone, it is increasing way too much. The amount of progesterone, it is increasing way too much. Why does this happen? Because corpus luteum is being formed over here after ovulation, and this is responsible for the production of progesterone. And the amount of estrogen also, which was less, it is also now shooting. It is also now increasing. Over here, you can see that this is also increasing. Both of them, basically, they are increasing. Now, One very important thing, why do you think it is increasing? Because during this phase, the endometrium layer will form itself again. What will it do? It will form itself again. The full regeneration of endometrium happens over here. Why, children? Ovulation has happened. Now the sperm can come and fertilize it. And if fertilization happens, there should be someone to take care of the fertilized egg or the embryo, right? So for that, the endometrium layer has to be formed, which is why it gets thickened. Okay, now one thing that you have to note is when the level of progesterone in estrogen increases, the progesterone says, hey, hypothalamus, stop your secretion. Hey, hypothalamus, stop your secretion. So if hypothalamus stops its secretion, pituitary will stop its secretion. If pituitary stops its secretion, FSH and LH level will go down. Okay, FSH and LH level will go down. But it was LH. It was LH who was responsible for what? Children, it was responsible for ovulation, and LH is also responsible for the formation of corpus luteum. Now, if level of LH goes down, okay, when the amount of progesterone increases, you see the LH and the FSH is going down. When it goes down, children, the corpus luteum that you see will also die off. And if it die off, what will happen? The progesterone and estrogen will also die off. So in a way, we say in Hindi, apne hi पैरों में खुलाड़ी मारा. So progesterone is actually kicking its own leg. Okay, so it increased. It said hypothalamus to not give its secretion, so pituitary didn't give secretion. FSH and LH went down. If FSH and LH went down, corpus luteum also goes down. If corpus luteum goes down, children, there won't be anyone to secrete both of them, then they will also go down. And if they go down, what will happen? If progesterone and estrogen goes down, again the endometrium layer will shut down, and this is the next phase, the next cycle of menstruation. So this is the menstrual phase. Again, you have follicular phase and the luteal phase. Okay, what do you call this phase as? I forgot to name it. This third one is known as luteal phase. Okay, so state the role of hormones secreted from part B on the uterus of human female during menstrual cycle. What is the role of the hormone? Because the role of the hormone is to maintain the endometrium, right? It will be to maintain the endometrium of the uterus. Okay, also it will be to maintain the endometrium of the uterus. Apart from that, estrogen spike causes LH surge, which will be responsible for ovulation. And after ovulation, estrogen and progesterone will be responsible for what? Maintaining what? Endometrium lining, endometrial lining. Cool? So these 2 points you have to write it. LH surge, which leads to ovulation, and to maintain the endometrium layer. You are not mentioning this, you are losing your marks. So please make sure you are mentioning it really carefully. Now if you are someone who is not understanding the menstrual cycle, you can watch the video that I have done for NEET. So you can go check out the NEET playlist. It will be really helpful for you guys. Over here I have a restricted time to explain, which is why I am not explaining way too much. Okay, works? Chalo. Next thing, during pregnancy the level of hormones increases several fold in the maternal blood. Name the hormones and write their importance. So during pregnancy, you have first thing. During pregnancy, what is there? There is placenta being formed, which nourishes the baby. So endometrium nourishes the baby for some time, not baby, the embryo for some time, and later on this work is run by placenta. Okay, so placenta is responsible for the production of 4 hormones. One is human chorionic gonadotrophin. Second is human placental lactogen. Third is estrogen. Fourth is progesterone. Got it? Now, ovary also release a certain thing that is known as relaxin. Cool. Now, what is the function of human chorionic gonadotrophin? The function of human chorionic gonadotrophin is to maintain corpus luteum. So, I told you corpus luteum is the one that releases progesterone and estrogen, and progesterone says to hypothalamus to stop its secretion, which is why FSH and LH goes down, which is why corpus luteum also goes down. But if there is someone else to maintain the corpus luteum, it would be really good. So what do we have? We have human chorionic gonadotrophin, which maintains the corpus luteum, which will now make sure that the placenta, the endometrial lining, everything is still being there. Human placental lactogen is there for lactation, for providing the milky thing for the baby, for the formation of that. Estrogen and progesterone is to maintain the pregnancy, Relaxin help in relaxation of cervical muscles, relaxation of the muscles of cervix. So over here, if this is the uterus, there is cervix over here. Which has to dilate itself for the baby to move out. So relaxation of those muscles are really important for the baby to move out, which is why we have that as well. So these are the hormones which goes really up during pregnancy, and its importance is also given over here. Let's read it. So human chorionic gonadotrophin secreted by the placenta maintains the corpus luteum, ensuring the production of progesterone during the early stages of pregnancy. So during the early stages of pregnancy, you need it, and that is how you do. So when the placenta is forming, you still have the endometrium, right? So for that, you should be having progesterone, and for that you should be maintaining the corpus luteum, and for that you should be having HCG. Now progesterone produced by corpus luteum and later by the placenta maintains the uterine lining. Estrogen again secreted by the placenta promotes the uterine growth. Human placental lactogen produced by the placenta regulates maternal metabolism, ensuring adequate glucose and nutrients for the fetus, and also later it helps in what? Basically the milky thing also. Okay. Now relaxin secreted by the ovary during the later phase of pregnancy softens the cervix and relaxes the pelvic ligaments in preparation for childbirth. So pelvic ligaments as in the ligaments which are found in the pelvic region, okay, in our hip region. So those muscles and every ligaments have to be relaxed really well, which that is how only the baby can be moving out. Okay. So these are things that you can write for this question. Cool. Works. Now next, list the function of human placenta. So why do you think human placenta is important? So human placenta, if I say, okay, so this is the baby, suppose, okay, and this is the placenta, and they are connected with the help of umbilical, okay, umbilical. It's not umbilical, it's umbilical cord. Right. Umbilical cord. And the umbilical cord will be having blood vessels going around from here to here. And this is formed, placenta is formed both from the mother's side and the fetus side. With the help of fetal tissue as well as mother tissue, this placenta is being formed, okay, which will be richly supplied with blood vessels and stuff like that, which will help in exchange of. So blood does not get mixed. What happens is that, for example, this is blood. Okay, things will be moving with the help of diffusions. For example, oxygen is more over here, oxygen will move inside. That's how things happen. So mother's blood, for example, this is mother's blood vessel, okay, and I am making child's blood vessel in green color. So from the mother's blood vessel, what will happen? Things will be moving through with the help of diffusion over here in the child. Okay, so what all things will be moving and why it is important? So basically, placenta helps in removal of waste. Okay, it will be helping in what? Removal of waste from the child. If it's there, it will be really toxic, right? So for that, for the exchange of important gases, it is really important, such as oxygen, okay, such as if you want to give out CO2, that has to be done. So these exchanges are being done with the help of placenta, and this is the function of placenta. So placenta connected to the embryo through an umbilical cord, umbilical cord, which helps in transport of substances to and from the embryo. Placenta facilitates supply of oxygen and nutrients to the embryo, and also removal of carbon dioxide and excretory waste products produced by the embryo. It also acts as an endocrine tissue, and produces, yeah, that is also one function. We just spoke about all the hormones being produced by the placenta, right? So it is there for basically maintaining the pregnancy. So it acts as an endocrine tissue and produces hormones like human placental lactogen, human placental gonadotropin, okay, human chorionic gonadotropin, estrogen, progesterone and stuff like that. So there are 4 hormones. Please remember, it is this. These are the 4 hormones. So progesterone and estrogen is released by ovary first, but later during pregnancy we say the major role of it is being produced by the placenta. Cool. So these are the things you can underline. You can write supply of oxygen, removal of carbon dioxide and excretory waste, and then you can write endocrine tissue, underline it. Without underlining, you are messing up things. Umbilical cord, underline it. Okay. So in an answer, underline things that is very much useful for the reader to understand what you have written. So sometimes they do not have time to waste, so they'll just read it, and if they are not finding much points, they will just give you some less marks comparatively. So you have to make sure that your answer is clearly standing out. So for that, you have to underline the important terms. Cool? Cool. Now briefly explain the sex determination in the case of human beings. How can you explain the sex determination in the case of human beings? So I'll tell you, and then I'll show you how you can write it. So sex determination works in the case of human beings like this. So children, you all have one pair of sex chromosome. Suppose this is the mother. Mother will be having one pair of sex chromosome. Similarly, there will be a father. Father will be also having one pair of sex chromosome. So what's the difference between the mother and father in the case of sex chromosome? Over here in the case of mother, both of them are X chromosomes. Over here there is X and Y. This becomes the parent. Now to form the gametes, in the case of mother, mother will be obviously in a pair. From a pair, only one chromosome can be getting inside, you know, 23. Half, we have to go half, right? Half will be coming from the father's end. So half from the mother, half from the father. So either half will be coming, either X chromosome, or whatever you do, you get X chromosome only. So what do you call this condition as? You call them as homozygotes, or you say homozygous condition. It is homozygous condition where the gametes are kind of same, or you call it homogametic, not homozygous, you call it homogametic, as in the gametes are same. Homogametic, because the gametes are same. But in the case of males, things are quite different. Here they can either have X chromosome or probably Y chromosome. So in this case, it is heterogametic. It is what, children? It is heterogametic. Now the gametes are there, you have to fuse them. Let's do that. So now, the progeny which will be there, this and this, if it fuses, this particular ovum and this sperm, if it fuses, it is XX. That means you're talking about a girl child. Okay. If this and this fuses, it is XY. That becomes a boy child. If this and this fuses, it becomes XX. That becomes a girl child. If this and this fuses, it becomes XY. That becomes a boy child. Cool. So there are 50% of chances for a girl child and 50% of chances for boy child as well. So 50% chances are there. You have to make sure of that. Cool. So this is how sex determination works in the case of human beings. So please remember, the mother will be always homogametic, having 2 X chromosomes. So basically whatever gametes are formed are X chromosome only, will be having X chromosome only. Whereas in the case of father, they are heterogametic. They can form 2 types of gametes, one is X, other one is Y. Okay, so if either of them fuses, it becomes like this. So there's 50% of chance that this happens, because any gamete can come, right? Any gamete can come and fuse, so you cannot basically blame anyone for the sex of the child, and you should not be blaming, right? What's the problem even in being a girl or a boy? Okay, everything should be treated very equal. So how can you explain this in the form of words? Please mention this, okay? Please draw this in a paper, and then you can explain this. You can pick certain things out of this. The sex of the child is determined at the time of fertilization. This is not an important point. You can write the sex chromosome of the male parents are X and Y, okay? Hence, the male individual produces 2 types of sperms carrying X and Y chromosome. Hence, male is heterogametic. Okay, write this. Whereas the female parent has XX chromosome and she produces only 1 ovum carrying X chromosome. Hence, female is homogametic. Okay. After the fusion of sperm and ovum, the zygote would carry either XX or XY. this zygote carrying XX chromosome would be developing into female child, and the zygote carrying XY chromosome will be developing into a male child. That's all. That becomes your answer. And always remember, the Y chromosome is shorter than the X chromosome. Shorter in size. Cool? Works? Chalo. Next question. Distinguish between menstrual cycle and estrous cycle. So this question I found it to be very interesting, because this is not a big given as a big deal in your NCERT, but they have given you questions like this. So how can you explain this answer? What do you mean by menstrual cycle? Menstrual cycle is found in us primates. What do we call ourselves as? We call ourselves as primates. Our brain's capacity, our brain size, everything is very much larger than non-primates. Okay, so primates basically have a cycle which is known as menstrual cycle, whereas for non-primates such as dogs, cats, etc., there is something that is known as estrous cycle. And under primates comes us, monkeys, apes, etc. So we saw that in the case of menstrual cycle, there is endometrium lining being formed, and this endometrium lining is being shed down. This particular endometrium lining that you see, endometrium, sheds down. Whereas in the case of non-primates, endometrium is what? Endometrium is reabsorbed, okay? Basically, things of it is reabsorbed, only few drops basically come out. And menstrual cycle is a continuous cycle that happens for every single month. But estrus is not like that. It happens during a particular time, and that's when the females of the dogs basically, or the cats, become sexually very, very receptive. So it is very different from us, that is people who are having menstrual cycle. So this is for a shorter period, but this will be a continuous process happening throughout the year. Okay, so that is the difference between menstrual cycle and estrous cycle. The cyclic changes in the activities of ovaries and the accessory ducts as well as hormones of female primate is called menstrual cycle. The reproductive cycle in the female primates like monkeys, apes and human beings. The cyclic changes in the activities of ovaries and the accessory ducts as well as hormones of female non-primates is known as estrous cycle. Example is what? Your cats, dogs, etc. You can write this point as well. So endometrium is shed down, whereas endometrium is reabsorbed. So it can be given down in the form of 1 or 2 drops. That's all, drops of blood. So that is why if you are someone who have petted dog, if you have a dog at home or a cat at home, you might never see that they are menstruating, such that some spotting might happen. Okay, some blood might come in the form of droplets, but it's not like how you human females menstruate. Okay, how we human females menstruate. So that is a difference, a clear difference that happens. Okay, and this is a continuous cycle, whereas this is, as you see, it is not something that will be continuously happening throughout the year. Okay. Now comes the 5-marker, and as I said, 5-marker questions would be having diagram. So we have to focus on diagram. Today I will be teaching you how you can draw things. So first question says, draw a label diagrammatic sectional view of human female reproductive system. Okay, so human female reproductive system we have to make. Okay, in human female reproductive system, what is the thing that produces the gametes? It's the ovary. Who are the ones that carries it? It is known as fallopian duct, or you call it oviduct, my champions, right? After fallopian duct or oviduct, what do we have? We have the uterus where the baby is being born, the cervix through which the sperms enter, and the vagina also through which the sperm basically enter, right? So you have to mention all these things that is being mentioned over here. Chalo, let's start. So first thing first, we have to make something like this. Works? Over here, make certain finger-like projections which looks like this. Okay. Similarly, over here also, make certain finger-like projections which looks like this. And sometimes I mess it up, which is why I just looked. Okay, it looks like hand. Okay, but yes, you have to do it. Cool? Now, bring this in over here also. Bring this in. It's no rocket science, it's easy. Okay? Okay, just draw with me. So you joined from here and you went there. You took from here and you went there. Now, okay? Actually, you should not be taking this much space for making the ovary. It should be coming down here, but if I erase, everything will go, so that's why I'm not erasing. So this guy should be coming up somewhere here. This also should be coming up somewhere here. What is this, children? This becomes your ovary. So do not make an ovary like this, please. This is the ovary. Okay, so I'm writing this is the ovary. Now this whole part is a fallopian duct, but you have to mention it part by part. What does it contain? So over here, the finger-like projections that you see, it is known as fimbriae. Fimbriae is a part of something really big which is known as infundibulum. Okay, now if you go ahead, after infundibulum comes a broader region which is known as ampulla. Okay, after ampulla comes a region which is known as isthmus. Okay, it is known as isthmus. So how many regions do you have in fallopian duct, children? These three part comes under fallopian duct. So you have infundibulum, you have ampulla, you have isthmus. The finger-like projections are known as fimbriae, which collects ova from the ovary. Now over here, this structure that you see is your uterus, is the uterus. Now uterus has three layers. The outer layer is known as perimetrium. One. Okay. Then you have an inner layer which is known as myometrium. This becomes 2. Then you have a glandular layer. So even if you do not mention the layers, but mention the diagram, okay, properly. That is, just mention the uterus, that is also fine. This is known as endometrium. Now, this particular part is known as the cervix, and this particular part is known as the vagina. Now uterus, this part is known as uterine fundus. Okay, what do you call it? Uterine fundus. Cool? Works? Okay, so this is how you have to draw the diagrammatic sectional view of the human-female reproductive system. This is how it actually looks. It's the same thing, I made it like this. I hope it works. So this becomes the uterine cavity. Cool? Okay, I hope I helped in some ways. I'm not sure, but this is a rough diagram. Whenever I am trying to make a rough diagram, I hope it can be helpful. If you make with me, it will be really helpful for you. Cool? That's about this. Now next question. Draw a neat label diagram of sectional view of mammary gland. So again, mammary gland. Now what you have to do is take your pen and paper and come with me. Let's draw. Okay, let's draw. You draw it in your own pace, but we have to try drawing it. So for that, for mammary gland, what do you need is make something like this. Make something like this. Leave a gap over here. This is the nipple region. Okay. Now, make certain things like this. Okay, you have 3 of them, 3 tubes. Please make 3 tubes. Okay, now let's enlarge them. You have enlarged them and it looks like this. Okay, I think I should be using black only. Cool. Now you have to make branches of them. Make branches. So how do you make branches? So have gap in the branches. Okay, suppose you made a branch like this, you made another branch like this, and you made another branch like this. Okay, still you have to branch them out. Make a V, 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 double V. Okay, make a V. Okay, now what you have to do? You have to do some artwork. So over here, try to make certain things like this. I know it looks messy, but this is how you have to draw it. Okay, same thing happens up here also. I'm not making the entire thing. So I want to tell you first what I drew, and then only I will be going ahead. So this thing that you drew, no, it is known as lactiferous duct. So always remember one thing, that is dal. Dal. So here we have lactiferous duct. Lactiferous duct is being opened with the help of something that is known as ampulla. What do you call this structure as? You call this structure as ampulla. Now ampulla basically is something that will be branching open to ducts. What duct? Mammary duct. So this thing that you see over here, it is mammary duct. So we have dal, D-A-L, dal. Cool. Now the duct that is there, it will be opening into tubules. Now you have to remember mat. What do you have to remember, children? Mat. So I'm talking about T over here. Okay, I'm talking about T over here. So this thing that you see over here, which broke open after duct, it is known as mammary tubules. What do you call it? Mammary tubules. Now mammary tubules will be opening into mammary alveoli, or basically alveolus. So this structure in purple, what do you call it? Alveolus. Okay, A. Now for M, you have mammary lobes. So what are mammary lobes? Basically there is something that covers up, think things like this. There will be lobes over here. This is one lobe, this is second lobe, this will be third lobe, there will be much more lobes over here as well. What are these? These are mammary lobes. So you have 15 to 20 mammary lobes. In time, the 15 to 20 mammary lobes, they will be having alveolus, mammary tubules, then mammary duct, then ampulla, then lactiferous duct. Okay. Now, there will be certain cells over here surrounding your mammary tissue. What will it be known as? It is the fat cells, children. It is the fat cells that you are having surrounding it. Okay. Now, at the end over here, what do you have? At the end over here, what do you have? You know, there are ribs behind it. There will be ribs. So basically this is the sectional view, right? So you will be having sectional view of what? The ribs. So this is what? Ribs. And in between you will be having certain muscles as well. In between you will be having certain muscles as well. This is important. This is enough. You don't need to make way too much things. You don't need to make way too many things. This would be more than enough. Okay. And over here you have to end it up properly. You have to end it up properly. So for that, what do we need, children? This particular region that you see, what do you call this as? Nipples. Got it? And one more thing, there will be areolar tissue that will be covering each and every part, and that's how we drew the mammary gland, okay, or basically the mammary tissue. Cool? I don't think it's difficult now. I try to make it bare minimum easy. Dal and mat you can remember if you want to remember the flow, or else you can remember directly. Lactiferous duct, then ampulla, then mammary duct, then tubules, then alveolus, then mammary lobes. So you have to fill in the mammary lobes over here also. I have not made it over here, but I think you can do it by yourself. So make one more branch, then one more ampulla, and then branch it off. Cool? This is another 5-marker question that you have over here. Now, the next question. Draw a neat label diagrammatic sectional view of male reproductive system. How can you make the male reproductive system? This is again very easy. Okay. So, in male reproductive system, what do you need? You need testis, which will release the gametes, right? And you need accessory ducts, which will carry the sperm. Then you need accessory glands, which will provide their secretion. Then you need external genitalia, that is the penis. Okay, so we are going to make all of that over here. First things first, so we have to okay, wait. Did I actually remove everything? It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. This is the testis. Okay. Inside the testis, I told you how we have so many testicular lobules. Okay, these are what? Testicular lobules. Should I label it now itself? I'll label it. Okay, now inside the testicular lobules, you will be having seminiferous tubules 2 to 3. Let's make it. Okay, what do you call them? You call them seminiferous tubules. Basically, they will be coming out to form a structure like this, which is known as rete testis. What do you call it? Rete testis. So this become your testis. This is your testis. Inside that, the first accessory duct that you are going to talk about is rete testis. Over here also it's there. I am not going to make it as of now. Okay, at the end I will make it. Now rete testis will be having connected to another duct that is over here, which is known as vasa efferentia. So the sperm is saying, why I want to move out of the testis, I do not want to stay up here. So basically I have to make an exit. For that, what do you have? You have vasa efferentia, E for exit. So they have exited, but the problem is that the sperm got stuck again. And over here it got stuck in a very big loop, very big duct, which if I open becomes 6 meters long. What do you call this duct as? What do you call this duct at? This is known as epididymis. This is known as epididymis. So this becomes your vasa efferentia, and there you have the epididymis. Similarly over here also you have the same things. I am not making all the things. Okay, just a second. But there is our epididymis over here. Okay. Now what happens? Basically, from the epididymis comes the next duct. Okay, from the epididymis comes the next duct that we are having over here, Okay, I'll make it properly this side because I cannot see because of the camera glare. So over here, anyways, whatever I do, it will become like this only. So okay, I think it works. This is known as vas deferens. This is known as vas deferens, and with this we are ending the accessory ducts, the one that carries it. So it will be going to where? So over here you have, the males have their urinary bladder. Over here males have their urinary bladder. Okay, the urinary bladder, I suppose you know, it will be opening into the urethra. So what happens, the vas deferens comes, goes back, coils around it and come forward. So over here goes back, coils around it and come forward like this. Okay, so I'll make it properly. Okay, works fine. So this vas deferens is over here, vas deferens is over here. At this particular point, the vas deferens is going to get the secretion of the first accessory gland, which is known as seminal vesicle, my dear children. Together they will be making a new duct over here, which is known as the ejaculatory duct. And also one more thing, there will be another gland through which this will be passing, and this gland is known as, where should I write? This gland is known as, is it visible? Prostate gland. This is known as the prostate gland. So first is seminal vesicle, then we have prostate gland. Why do you think these glands are important? Because these glands provide secretion to the sperm. They give fructose, they give calcium and everything that provides energy to the sperm movement. Okay, now there is one more chuttu gland also over here, which is like bulb shaped gland, and which is why you call it bulbourethral gland, which provides its secretion for lubrication. Now urethra, it goes down like this and opens with the help of urethral meatus. It opens at the tip, which is known as urethral meatus, but this particular structure is actually covered, and you have a specific name for this particular structure. Okay, just give me a second. Oh, why am I messing it up? Just a sec. Just. This particular structure that comes at the end, it is known as glans penis, and it will be having a layer of skin attached to it, which is known as foreskin. This is the sectional view of the male reproductive system. So if you know the functions, you would be able to do it well. Since I had a space like this where the question was over here, I couldn't make it elongated, but I hope you understand this structure well. So at the end, through this particular thing, urethra, what are you releasing? Basically sperms are also getting in there. the urine is also getting passed in there, which is why you call this as a common passage for urine and the sperm both. Got it? And now covering it, you have the penis. At the end, there is an enlarged portion of the penis which you call as glans penis, which is covered by a fold of skin. Okay, which is covered by a fold of skin which is attached over here, just over here. It is not attached elsewhere. It is known as foreskin, which can be moved up and down. Okay, and that helps in the process of sexual reproduction. Over here is seminal vesicle as well as prostate gland as well as bulbourethral gland, which will give out a secretion which is known as seminal plasma. All the secretions together, you call it seminal plasma. Now seminal plasma plus the sperm which is being taken from the seminiferous tubule to the rete textus, then the vasa efferentia, then the epididymis, then the vas deferens is known as sperm. Together, you call this as semen. What do you call it? You call this as semen. Works? This is the 24th question. Cool. Now, next, write the schematic representation of spermatogenesis. How will you write the spermatogenesis? Write the two events that occur in the ovary and the uterus during follicular phase of menstrual cycle. We will write it. First thing, schematic representation of spermatogenesis. Okay, so you have to make a systematic thing. So over here we have already made it. I think I would rather not make it. If you want, I can make it. Should I make it? Should I make it? Should I make it? Should I make it? Or should I not? So I made it already. So you have spermatogonia, children. What do you have, children? You have spermatogonia, which are the cells which are destined to be forming the sperms later on. So they undergo mitosis. They will divide it themselves. Okay. They undergo mitosis. They will increase the number. They will undergo differentiation. They will undergo differentiation such that one among them, basically, whenever they divide, okay, at least one of them will become the primary spermatocyte. Will become the primary spermatocyte. It has underwent differentiation, as in now it has a particular function to do. And what do you call this? Primary spermatocyte. How many number of chromosomes will be there still, children? 46, because it was undergoing mitosis. And in mitosis, you just increase the number of cells. You just increase the number of cells, nothing else. So this primary spermatocyte, which has 46 number of chromosomes, okay, it will now divide again into 2 more cells. But this division, from here on, they have started meiosis division. So this is meiosis 1. And in meiosis 1, what happens? So I have to enlarge a cell, basically, otherwise you won't be able to understand it. So this cell, primary spermatocyte, has 46 number of chromosomes. It underwent division. Now the first meiotic division would end up in giving 2 cells, which are known as secondary spermatocyte. I'll tell you a fun fact. So this spermatogonia divided into 2. One differentiates and forms the primary spermatocyte. The other one will again form another spermatogonia, and the same thing repeats again and again. So spermatogonia will be formed again, primary spermatocyte will be coming in. So this thing happens again and again. So don't think that one spermatogonia divides and then there's only one spermatocyte. No. This spermatogonia divides, one normal cell will be there, one cell will be differentiating into primary spermatocyte. This normal cell will again divide, and the whole cycle repeats again and again. Okay. Now over here, this differentiated primary spermatocyte undergoes meiosis 1, giving 2 cells which are secondary spermatocyte having 23 chromosomes each. Now again they will divide because meiosis happens in 2 phases. So this cell divides again. How many chromosomes, children? 23, 23, 23, 23. Okay. What do you call them? You call them spermatids. Okay, just remember they are like kids. They do not have a proper shape, structure, nothing. Now, they have to form structures like this. That is, they have to form sperm-like body. And now they will be known as spermatozoa. And this process is known as spermiogenesis. This process, just this process is known as spermiogenesis. When the sperms, they move out, it is known as spermiation. And the whole process is known as spermatogenesis. Okay. So there is one primary spermatocyte giving rise to 4 sperms. Over here, spermatogonia is the gamete mother cell which will be dividing, differentiating into primary spermatocyte. Cool. So this is the schematic way of drawing things. Please understand, it is 2n that is diploid, it is half, that is haploid. So this is haploid, that is diploid. Works? Cool? Okay, now write the two events that occur in the ovary and the uterus during follicular phase of menstrual cycle. Follicular phase, when the follicles are developing, right? So in the ovary, what will happen? The follicles would be developing into what? Graphian follicle. There will be one follicle that will be maturing into Graphian follicle. Whereas, what happens in the uterus? In the uterus, slowly the endometrium that has shut down during the first phase, that is menstrual phase, it will now start reforming again. So, ovary, the primary follicles in the ovary grow to become a fully matured Graphian follicle, which will be having the secondary oocyte. Now uterus, the endometrium of the uterus regenerates through proliferation. It will slowly, which has fallen down, it will slowly make itself up. Cool? Works? Now last question for the day and then you are free. Write the role of the following. Sertoli cells. What does Sertoli cells do, children? I told you it provides what? Nourishment. To whom? The gamete mother cell. To the gamete mother cell, that is spermatogonia. Okay. Leydig cells, what do they do? Leydig cells helps in the formation of male sex hormones, which are testosterone, or basically androgens. Under androgens comes the main hormone, which is the testosterone. Oxytocin in parturition, what does it do? Oxytocin helps in contraction and relaxation of myometrium. Okay, what is menarche? Menarche is the start of the menstrual cycle. Okay, and what is menopause? Now we are pausing something, that means it is the end of the menstrual cycle. Cool? So over here, Sertoli cells support and nourish developing sperm. Okay, Leydig cell produce testosterone in response to LH. Okay, that is luteinizing hormone. I told you LH, Leydig cells, they work together. Promote sperm production and male secondary sexual character. So, sperm formation also it is helping Leydig cells. It is helping in sperm formation. How? Because it is forming what? It is forming testosterone. And testosterone helps in sperm production and also giving male secondary sexual characters. For example, their body shape, the formation of muscles, everything. Secondary sexual characters, the hair growth, everything. Now, oxytocin in parturition stimulates uterine contraction for labor. Menarche, the first menstrual period, okay, signaling the start of reproductive ability. The end of menstruation, marking the cessation of fertility and hormonal changes. Cessation means stopping of fertility and the hormonal changes in the females. So, children, these were the 26 very important questions. So, the menarche, this is a question that I made by myself because I thought there were questions asking for a one-liner definition for the following, for 1 mark each. So, I thought why not club it together and give you a 5-mark question. In that way, I can tell about all of them. Since we have already discussed, I just gave you a way that in which way you can write. Always remember, you have to write in points and underline the important things. If you are not underlining, you are going to lose your marks. So, please not do that. So, that's all. So, that's all for today. Yeah. And I hope you understood this. If you have understood this, definitely let me know in the comment section. I would be really happy to know that. And if you have any doubt, ask me that also. I would be really glad to help you with your doubts, because your PU exams are coming. The date sheet has been published. So don't think there are so many days left for biology. It does not work like that. You won't have time in between the exam to study. So study everything and keep it now. You have 3 months. Okay, use it really wisely. There will be so many exams coming in, going out. So at this point of time, consistency is the key. If you stay consistent, you can achieve everything, and please stay positive. Everything is going to be happening really good. Okay, so these were the important topics. I hope I helped you. Now, if you want the PDF of the chapter, children, you can fill the form that is given in the description box. Works? So that's all, champions. If you like this video, do not forget to hit a like button and also subscribe to our little channel. Wishing you all the love in the world. Bye bye. Take care.